New Orleans, home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. The Supreme Court is taking up a dispute over Louisiana's congressional map. The decision will not impact the election, but the messy legal fight could determine whether the state's map can continue in future years. The topic has turned into a battle over how to amend a racially gerrymandered design. A Trump ad that appeared during NBC's coverage of Sunday's NASCAR race is seemingly connected to Vice President Harris's surprise Saturday Night Live appearance. The ad appeared after an FCC commissioner accused SNL of a clear and blatant effort to evade the FCC's equal time rule. Polls are showing a tight race in the presidential election. The final NBC News poll released Sunday shows Vice President Harris and former President Trump locked in a dead heat. Each candidate received 49% support in the national poll. And the entire NBA played yesterday as the league took today off for the election. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with Allstate Sugar Bowl and Entergy New Orleans, would like to send a huge congratulations to our class of 2024 New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Award honorees. This year, we had 90 Teachers of the Year from each public school in New Orleans. Each of them was recognized at our annual gala, where we had over 350 attendees. We're excited to also share that each honoree is receiving a $1,000 classroom grant. Thank you for everything you do, teachers.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 a.m.
Wake up, New Orleans. Oh, it's the day.
It's the day.
Well, it's the day before the day.
Yes,
Yeah,
it's the day before the day. Yes.
Yeah, and this is the day we find out what we're going to be like tomorrow.
Yeah, we have a gender reveal
What we're
today.
going to be like tomorrow. Oh, yeah. Is it a boy or
Is it
girl?
a boy? Girl, we have
Gender reveal 504-582-9422. I know y'all up because you're anxious, right?
Mm-hmm.
An historic election, potentially the first African-American female versus the first lunatic ever to be reelected in the history. Well,
Well, they say since Grover.
I'm only serious, guy. We're just having fun.
Since Grover.
Kamala or Kamala, however you want to say it, versus the dumpster, right? So, what are you thinking? If you voted already, call and tell us why.
And if you haven't voted, the polls are open.
Yeah, and if you've waited till today to vote, what made you wait? You know, is it your tradition? If you really haven't made up your mind, give us a call.
Because, I would like to know
Yeah. And
if you're still on that fence, why.
Let me say this to you, guys. A lot of y'all, we know your voices. We know the names you use, but we really don't know y'all. So we're not Big Brother, right? Right?
All of us say we know the names you use.
We know the name, but we really don't know. I know sometimes y'all think y'all are free. I had someone call me yesterday. They said, I started to call in, but I don't like nobody to know who I am. So
I get that too.
So I said, so who is this?
Yeah.
So look, we're not collecting names, right? We're not government operatives.
Right. We don't have a list.
Hosts.
Yeah, we just talking.
And on talk shows, what we do.
Yeah, that's it.
We talk.
So you safe here.
Yeah. You really are.
Yeah, you safe here. Yeah.
You really are. So give us a call, 504-582-9422. Naren, you all right, man?
Not voted, baby. He is more than all right.
Are your friends going to vote today?
Huh?
Yep.
And there's a website, didmyfriendsvote.org.
My friends vote.
You can literally
Right.
I looked you up,
Uh-huh.
Oliver. It showed me all the
Right.
times you voted.
From one of the yeah.
Yes.
From one of the smallest precincts, right?
Yeah.
In the country. I think they announced on NPR this morning that it was 3 votes for Trump.
And 3 votes for
3
Kamala.
votes for Vice President Harris.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So
Yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting, guys. It's gonna be interesting. So we'll see what happens. But give us a call, 504-582-9422. We already know what Louisiana's gonna do.
Yeah, that's it. That's pretty much yeah.
But we can, and hopefully, and I know that we've tried, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know people for Kamala with much of the Rose family and so many others, they use this election to try to increase African American voter participation and create some momentum around the state.
Right.
Our population is 33%. So there's no way that we shouldn't have greater representation or the potential for greater representation statewide, right?
Right.
We fought to get
Another seat. Mm-hmm.
and even the conservative Supreme Court,
Right.
sided with us. So if we can just connect the dots,
Yeah.
there's a good chance. And one size doesn't fit all. At some point, there's a large percentage of people, man, you just want good representation. You want, that you get services for your taxes, and you want your kids and your family to be all right. So hopefully this election is used to increase those numbers.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the down part of the ballot as well. We have some really crucial races that are taking place with our school board seats in District 2 and District 4.
Mm-hmm.
We have a congressional seat that we also have on the ballot.
Yeah.
And I think people also forget that Steve Scalise is also running for his seat again. I mean, I haven't heard much talk around that seat, but he's also on the ballot.
Yeah,
he's flying under the radar.
He's so comfortable.
Yeah, he has no.
He's campaigning for Trump.
Yeah,
His commercials.
that's all he's been doing, and I
Right.
think that's very telling that he takes for granted that he's just going to walk back in his seat. And I think we need to do more to disturb the peace over there.
So let me ask you a question, Doc, because I've thought about this for a long time, right? And this is OT, the host, and Dr. Wyatt, the host, and we're the co-hostess with the Moses, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, guys, when we talk about stuff scientifically, I know elected officials monitor what we talk about,
Right.
because they'll respond or they have their people. I want y'all to tell me what OT and Dr. Wyatt saying. I know that the government monitors what we're saying. They don't monitor them other stations but they'll monitor us with stations.
Little black
And
station
Dr.
over
Wyatt,
here.
with Gerard, with the front post, what they talking about, right? But gerrymandering and drawing district lines, right, so that 90% black, 90% white, 70, 80% in terms of race, right, or in terms of party. I don't know that that's a good thing.
It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Because you don't get true representation of the person who's vying for your support and your vote. It's not a good thing.
Yeah.
That's why people are disenfranchised in most communities, because the politics of it all doesn't really represent the whole of it all.
And I remember several years, members of the Black Caucus got called out for protecting their districts, but allowing conservatives and others to draw extreme lines.
Yes.
That also did the same.
Yes.
If you're good at what you do, you can win a 60-40,
Yeah.
55-45 district, and everybody will have a voice.
Yes.
But them allowing these extreme lines, right, especially for this new MAGA movement,
Yes.
you've not helped our community.
Right.
Because of Steve Scalise
Cannot campaign is what we were talking about the other day.
cannot
Like
campaign,
he doesn't even have
right?
to.
But a Troy Carter
has to campaign.
Has to campaign.
Or,
right?
or even the fact that he doesn't even really get real opposition to his seat.
Right.
Whereas a Congressman, Troy Carter, there's 5 people, I believe,
Right.
in that race.
And his own community.
His own, absolutely. And so that's always my strike when I think about politics. There's a reason why you oppose a person for a seat, and you should be able to articulate that. Like, what hasn't that person done, or what more do you think you can do that person hasn't done? Why you? But when somebody's actually doing their job for the seat, then where are we in terms of a citizenry that says, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned that off there. Where does the unity come from in our community?
Yeah.
They count on us.
Well, they send us for us.
You said it more straight up than I was.
Yeah, because they send us for us.
They know that know that if you're running, they can put another African American female, another black in the race to cut your vote.
Yes.
And that's their purpose.
It literally happened to me.
And
when I ran for the very first time, that happened to me.
And that's their purpose.
That happened
and
to
they
me.
plan on it.
Yes.
There's funding for it.
Yes.
There's whole political operatives who do it. As a matter of fact, that's part of standard operating procedure because
And it's a lot of
they
in-house
know
fighting.
They can count on us
Yes.
to hurt us.
Yes, and it don't take much. They could buy us for cheap
Oh no,
and sell us for
no,
cheaper.
I have screenshots of.
It doesn't cost much.
I have screenshots of what. And look for folk out there, right? No, I'm not gonna say it.
No, you want me to whisper it to me? I'm gonna say it for you.
You gotta know when you're being used.
Yes, and see, that's my problem. That is my problem when I talk about certain things, and I know now I'm employed by WBOK, so certain things I have to be mindful.
Yeah.
But when I'm speaking as Dr. Ashanta White. I'm
Right.
speaking as a
Right.
person who
Right.
is registered to vote. And you're vying for my vote, so I have an opinion about it. I have a heavy opinion about it.
I know Prophet and I used to do when he was there. We would do a disclaimer.
Yeah, so because I
This-
mean,
this
I have
is
to,
not
I have,
OT and
so I
Prophet,
have to
yeah,
say that,
we'll do
right?
a
I'm not
disclaimer.
speaking for anybody but me when I'm speaking,
issues.
and for me,
We're
when
not representing the views of
when
Equity
I
Media
know
or
when I know
WBOK.
that you're being used
Right.
to get into a race and you have no expertise in the field,
Right.
you have no skin in the game, you don't even like children, you don't even know how to spell education
Right.
most of the time, right? Because spelling education would mean that you understand policy, you understand what good schools look like and what they should have, and you don't have any of that. But you're going against a person with 40 plus years of experience in that, then you have to explain to me why or how.
Well, but there's the other thing. There are the political hustlers and operatives, right? They know if they can convince somebody to run, they can make some money off campaign.
But Oliver, they buying us for they buying us for a hairdo and a headshot.
Yeah.
Cause that's all you get. You get new headshots,
Yeah.
and you might get your hair and your makeup done. But when you walk away from this race,
Right.
tell me what you've gained by selling out your community and its children. I just would like to know that.
Well,
Was it worth it?
They think they've gained favor.
But they're not. Those that favor comes with strings, and
Absolutely.
they will pull it when it's time.
Absolutely. So
They will pull it when it's time.
So let me say this, right? And some of the great hypocrisy is around the elections. People say, well, we got to make sure we have we need to fight for another black congressional district, but you don't think your city ought to be. But you don't think that district ought to be. You don't think that parish ought to be. And what I don't think they understand is that people will remember that. And people do remember that. It may not catch up with you now.
Yeah.
But at some point, you're going to be in a position, you're going to say, well, why y'all didn't support me? Well, hold on. You had the chance at unity.
Yeah.
You
I mean,
know?
but that's always been my stance here, Olive. And I know a lot of people like to put these flavored words on me when they're describing who I am. But who I am,
Well, they don't know you.
they don't know me, and it's not my job to force you to know me either. And so for me, my thing has always been, if you're honest with people and you're telling them what you honestly intend to do on their behalf, then we wouldn't have all of this confusion in terms of politics.
I want to deal. Let's deal with that, right? Because
Yes.
we're probably here at WBOK is probably the only place you'll have those kind of honest, upfront discussions, right?
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first time I interviewed you,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, "This young lady ain't nothing like
What you heard.
what." Yeah, we were saying, and she has a depth of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
right? And she's not really mad at anybody. She's angry that our children aren't getting the best product.
That's it. That's literally it.
Now, and I was like, well, hold on a second. So that hour-long interview where we talked, I'll never forget. I called Jeff Thomas. I say, Jeff, this is not who people have tried to paint her to be.
Mm-hmm.
This is actually a person who's passionate about. She's one of the most knowledgeable people about education, and she loves the heck out of our children.
I absolutely do. And that's really it. And that's all I'm saying. Like I didn't wake up with the intent of being a politician. I
Right.
only ran for the
Right.
seat because nobody else had stepped up to do it. That's the only
The
reason.
biggest compliment I ever got was from one who came from a whole nother political camp.
Mm-hmm.
And in political camps, y'all need to stop doing this, right? Y'all need to stop disparaging people. Just let your candidate do what they do.
That is it.
Right. Because you're seeing the results of this stuff nationally. and it's really dividing and hurting our country and our community. After this young woman worked with me, she was like, wow. She says, I want to apologize to you. She said, you are nothing like these people tried to portray you.
Mm-hmm.
And there are people who do that now.
Yeah.
Right?
And a smile on your face.
And you and me.
Yeah.
And it was the greatest compliment I ever got, because she was deep in with these people who are powerful political people, right?
Yeah.
They tried to paint me as a person, and she was like, oh, wow.
Well, I'll do you one even better. There was a meeting of school leaders in the city, and there's a young lady that actually works for the New Orleans public school system at the district level. And she was in the room telling the other school leaders that to hire me would be career suicide for them. And somebody in the room called me and told me that she said that. So when I called her boss, who is the current superintendent, I had an issue with that. Because that lady doesn't know me.
At all.
And for her to be in a room with potential employers, you know, that's my field. This is what I do. It's damaging to my professional career. And so for me, that's a problem.
And that person was probably from our community.
Well, no, she was a Caucasian woman.
Oh, okay.
Let's be very clear. She was a
Okay.
Caucasian woman whom I've never had a
Well, that's
conversation
rare.
with. I've never met her. But I guarantee she got her information from one of us.
Absolutely.
Because she doesn't know me.
And we need to stop that.
Yeah, we have to. We have to stop that. Because what you've done in essence is take somebody away from children who actually I love them and I care for them, and I'm qualified to lead them, and I can't.
But let me make it more personal than that.
Mm-hmm.
You have a son.
I do.
You have a family. You talk about your aunt and your mother and your uncles and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
People who count on you.
Yes.
You know, I have children.
Yes.
I have people who count
Yeah.
on
And
me.
then so the horny thing, I was the breadwinner for my family.
Yeah, that's
Not just
absolute-
my son, my mother as well.
That's
I was
absolutely
that
correct.
for her. And so they don't understand what they destroy when they try to destroy a person's career or character just based on misinformation or just flat out lies.
And too often it ain't even misinformation. It's flat out lie. Look, get to know people for yourself.
Yeah.
That's one thing. My dad, man, the real big O. My dad he would tell people like, don't bring me no fool.
But also too, Oliver, if you want to win, just beat me. You know what I mean? Like that's all you have to do. If you want to win, just beat me.
All of the time.
Square up.
Hey, look, we're about to go to break, but I can go to break on this.
Yeah.
I've won 5 elections.
Yes. Talk heavy.
I've been citywide, right?
Uh-huh.
Have you ever seen anything negative from me against somebody I was running against?
But I'm gonna do you one even
No.
better. I haven't won any election, and they
And you
still
still
scared.
Yeah.
Like what?
Yeah.
What are you scared of?
Yeah.
I've not done anything
Yeah.
to warrant this sort of vitriol from
I'm going to
people.
tell you what the problem is.
What's the problem, OT?
It's like I've been saying, people worry about the gap between black and white folks.
Mhm.
My concern is the gap between black and black folks,
Yes,
right?
that's always the focus.
And there is a group, right, that
Mhm.
is of African-American leaders, African-American business people, African-American elite.
Mm-hmm.
They are so far away from our community
Mm-hmm.
that they can't take a chance on somebody like you getting close.
Mm. But what is the somebody like me? I want to know what the like me part is. Is it truth?
Who truly
Is
wants to
it
empower,
Authenticity?
who truly wants to empower our community,
Mm-hmm.
who's not ashamed
Of black people. I love all black
who's
people.
not afraid of them.
I'm not scared of our children.
Who's not against anybody else.
Not at all.
You're not against white folk. You're
Nope.
not against men. But you have this unfiltered, unconditional love for our community. That is a problem to people who want to control
Yes.
the system. They have to keep us divided.
Yes.
It's not just being divided amongst race and amongst gender
Mm-hmm.
and amongst ethnic groups. You got to be divided within your own group.
Which is why I'm angry with us, because we're allowing folk to come into this community and divide us that way, and it's so easy for them to do.
And what
They've
did
mastered it at
and
this
what
point.
did Maya Angelou say?
Oh, she said a lot. Tell me what.
Still you right.
Come on now, like a phoenix.
Because it was like Uncle Ron showed me on the yard, right?
Mm-hmm.
It may not go your way, there may be hurdles and challenges, right? There may be pitfalls. You may make major mistakes. But everybody in the world who's ever made a difference has felt locked up, locked out, abused, unloved, and unwanted. So why did God pick those people, from Mandela to Mother Teresa?
To OT and Dr. Wyatt.
WBOK, 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is always talking about.
Hey, whose station?
Our station.
Yes, it's our station. We'll be back. Sean Pittman, political advisor and lawyer. The book, Disaffected. We'll be back after the break.
Happy Tuesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines. Today, America will choose its next president. Here in Louisiana, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you need to check your polling location, visit govote.com. That's GEAUXVOTE.com. Secretary of State Nancy Landry says Louisiana ranks in the top 10 for election integrity, meaning you can trust your vote will count as intended. And a reminder to anyone who needs a ride to the polls, they can hop on a bus, ferry, or streetcar today free of charge. The RTA is offering free rides on Election Day, so there are no hurdles to making your voice heard. And don't worry, you will not need an RTA pass or proof of voter registration to get on. Then fallout continues after the firing of Saints head coach Dennis Allen. You'll remember Allen was promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach in February of 2022 after Sean Payton left. Allen was then fired following a painful 7th straight loss to the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi will now try to turn the franchise around, taking the reins as interim head coach. The Black and Gold play their rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, inside the Superdome this Sunday. And that's a check of today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day, and don't forget to vote.
What's up, WBOK family? I'm Caleb Huggins, your intern, and I'm here to encourage you to cast your ballot in this upcoming election season. This is your chance to let your voice be heard, to be a leader in your community, and to set an example for all. Be the change you want to see. Cast your vote for change.
For everything you need to know, go to govote.com. That's GEAUX vote.com.
NOLA Public Schools is excited to be on this 2024-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
WBOK and LCMC Health are proud to present the Keeping You Well Cafe, 60 minutes of LCMC Health, where doctors speak directly to the people of New Orleans. LCMC Health is committed to improving the quality of healthcare in the New Orleans area, the Gulf South, and beyond. The Keeping You Well Cafe is another way for LCMC Health to engage with the community. Over the next few months, LCMC Health will join WBOK and local businesses to answer your health and wellness questions. Through this partnership, LCMC Health will provide resources to the community, including subject matter experts from the hospitals that will share expertise on health concerns and wellness practices to help you live your best life. Tune in to WBOK during the last hour of the reality check, or catch us at lcmchealth.org and follow us on social media.
Experience the heartbeat of New Orleans at the 2024 Treme Creole Gumbo Festival. Join us on November 9th and 10th as we indulge in an array of gumbo offerings crafted by local chefs, each bringing their unique touch to this classic dish. Live performances featuring the Soul Rebels, Brassaholics, Tanya Boyd Cannon, Charmaine Neville Band, and many, many more. Visit us at www.tremegumbofestival.com for more information.
Tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon to What's Growing New Orleans, hosted by Angel Vanderpool, What's Growing New Orleans is a weekly conversation about developing and growing Black businesses throughout the region. Brought to you by the New Orleans Regional Black Chamber of Commerce.
Welcome to Liberty Bank and Trust, where your financial journey transforms communities. Since 1972, our customized banking solutions power your dreams and fuel your community growth. Every dollar you invest with us circles back to empower more people, ensuring opportunities for generations. Join us at Liberty Bank. Together, we empower possibility. Visit libertybank.net to start banking with purpose. Liberty Bank, there's freedom here.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM. Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back 27 minutes past the top of the hour. Man, what a happy day before the day. Mm-hmm. And as we said, we know it's election day.
Yes.
But we really think what happens tomorrow
Yes.
is going to determine
Yes.
how everybody feels. So the gender reveal is going to be maybe sometime tonight tomorrow. So, guys, y'all hold on. If you haven't voted, make sure you go vote. And if you haven't read the book Disaffected by Sean Pittman, political advisor and lawyer, make sure you go read the book. Sean Pittman, welcome to the Good Morning Show.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you, Dr. Wyatt. Good to be here. Thank you all for having me.
No, thank you for being here.
New Orleans.
Man, good, great to have you, and thank you for what you're doing. I mean, first of all, who is Sean Pittman, and what was the motivation, man, in your life to be the Sean Pittman you are now, and the impetus or the moment to write this book? If you could give us that, at least for our listening audience, please.
Yeah, thank you. Sean Pittman is much like other little brown boys that grow up in low and underprivileged neighborhoods that have a loving mother and who only wants the best for her kids. And I grew up in an area where, shockingly, when I look back in the rearview mirror, as important as I have become to realize that our sacred right to vote is, I didn't remember much of that growing up in my neighborhood, in my community, in my schools. And a lot of that made me really focus in on the why. And when I got to the answer, that's partly where Disaffected came from. Mm-hmm. When I got to the answer that the why was because I lived in a community where people didn't vote, right, where people weren't motivated to vote, and people generally weren't asked to vote because by design, they're communities that people don't care about very much. So, and then the result of that is the other half of where Disaffected came from, and that is people who lose faith in other people and in systems like government, mm-hmm, and an extension of that is their reasons, and I say that in a plural way, their reasons for not wanting to engage in the process.
Well, Attorney Pittman, first of all, man, thank you. God bless you, and blessings to you, man, for being a thought provoker, right? I really like your book cover, Disaffected. You checked off access versus apathy. And I tell folk, especially when I talk to young groups of people who feel like they're disaffected or outside the system, and they'll tell me, well, they don't fool with politics. I say, yeah, but it fools with you. So why wouldn't you fool with something that fools with you? But one of the things I like about researching with you is that you have not gotten off of reminding us that the right to vote didn't come likely because, some of us were saying, man, that doesn't work anymore. But you think it's important to begin to continue to tell the history of the connection to why it is. Why is that?
Wow. Well, because the history is flawed. And there's a banner that America holds up in contradiction to the flaws. And when I say that, I mean, if you think about history, look, we didn't start out, the framers didn't start out wanting everybody to vote.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, when they started, only property owners could vote.
The
right?
framers didn't put us in the frame.
No, because you were a part of the property that they owned. You didn't have a say.
Go ahead, Sean.
Absolutely. So when you and that begs the question of whether the framers even meant for democracy to be democratic in the first place. So you got to take that, and then you got to take the banner that we hold up in America, that it is important that everybody has the right to vote. But we pass laws all across this country that suppress people, that limit access for people to vote, because you got to look at not just the system, you got to look at the symptoms too, right? And the bottom line here is a lot of this is by design. A lot of this is by design because they want to, and I'm not necessarily just talking about a party, but folks on the inside, it's important for them to be able to control and predict. And if everybody just voted, everybody showed up, they wouldn't be able to do that. First of all, it'd be too expensive to do it, but
right.
they wouldn't be able to do it. So there are some things here by design, but you really, Councilman, hit on the crux of this thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, it's fooling with you. Whether you decide to engage or not, you're engaged. And the chance for you might as well take the chance of having something to do with your quality of life and what happens for your kids and your grandkids, right? Have that. If you show up to vote, you have a say in it. If you don't, you have no say, and you just become a secret weapon of the oppressor or the opposition.
Wow.
Listen, I hear you, and we've been talking at length about this idea of people's disconnect with the voting process, particularly when they don't feel like they're getting a return on their investment. Like, how do we get people? How do we get people to fall back and not even in love at this point? How do we get them to fall back and with the democratic process, with understanding that a vote, whether you exercise it or not, has power?
Yeah, Dr. White, you're right. And here's what we got to do. One, y'all already said it. Read Disaffected,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I'm under no illusion, right? I woke up in the process of writing this book. I woke up in the middle of the night one night, and God kind of said to me, like, man, do you really think people who don't vote gonna go read your book? and he sort of said it like that. I woke up giggling, and then the whole thing changed for me.
Right.
And this book, I started writing a manuscript and putting together tools in a toolbox for people who do vote to be able to engage people who don't vote. That's what Disaffected is. Because here's the problem we have. When we talk to somebody, as soon as somebody tells us they don't vote, we stop listening and we start talking. We start attacking them. We start talking about blood, sweat, and tears and the Pettus Bridge and John Lewis and how many people died for our right to vote. And we never say, well, let's talk about that. Why? We never engage them to hear why they don't vote, because guess what?
Good point.
Most of these people have good reasons for not voting.
That's right. That's a good point.
And you got to be able to attack this reason. You got to be able to engage the reason. I met a young lady in Orlando the other day. I was walking to the plane, not to be long-winded, but I got to tell you this. And her coworkers at the desk said, well, she's not going to vote. And I asked her, and my friend with me attacked her. He said, what? She said, what? You're not going to vote? What do you mean you're not going to vote? And then she turned to me and said, Sean, get her, right? Because she knew I wrote a book on voting.
Right.
And I asked the young lady, and she had to be 20 years old. And I asked her, I said, well, listen. And I pulled her aside. I said, tell me why you don't vote. And she said, I just don't want any part of it. And I said, no. I said, well, I understand that. I used to be that way. But tell me, I'm interested in why. You know what she said? She said, I don't like when I go to the polling places, people attack me and they try to put things in my face and I don't like feeling that way. So I just not me. And I said, wow, I said, I tell you what, have you ever heard of this thing called vote by mail? I vote by mail. I have for 20 years. She said, not really. I explained vote by mail to her, and I said, you could do this in the privacy of your own home and nobody attacks you. And you can mail it and you can be done. And then she said, well, but I don't know everything that's going on. I said, I know. Vote for the things you do. Vote for the things you do. At least vote.
Wow.
And if I had attacked her, if I had just went into blood, sweat, and tears, that conversation would have never got to a point of possible engagement. So that's what Disaffected does, y'all.
So Sean, Attorney Pittman, man, let me, you alluded to your conversation with God, right? And I think that whenever accomplished people have moments like that, I think it's spiritual, right? I really do. But how did you find time, right? CEO of your firm, you do a lot of consulting in the political world. You got the usual suspects effort. You got all those different things going on. And I want to add something to it before you answer. It was wise, as a historian, it's tracking Black participation and non-participation. And participating in the CNBC Wealth Conference year before last, we found out that African Americans are losing ground economically. We're actually poorer per capita than we were 150 years ago. We celebrate Black women for startup, but we don't give them the reality is that 6 months later, they don't have the resources to stay up when they're in business, right? Black children here in New Orleans are poorer than they were pre-Katrina. The CNBC financial report about the economics of the country in February said Black men and boys are missing from the nation's economy. Since we've stopped participating and our participating has gone down, our social and economic participation, we've lost ground. Did that have anything to do with your spiritual moment?
I think so. I think we all, those of us that are very conscious of the things that you say, and let's add this too, Councilman, we own less homes than we did.
Hispanics have surpassed us by 10% in home ownership now. Absolutely.
So, the wealth disparity is further and not closer, right? So we kind of tune that out because we see more of us doing better. But what they don't realize is that's not what you see when you go to the neighborhoods and the communities. It's growing.
The gap is wider.
Growing.
That's right.
And the gap is wider. But I would say this to you. The time, it took me a couple years to get this done, right? So, all of us can get anything done in a couple years. But I will say this. My wife started knitting. Right. So I had to find something to do because she didn't talk while she was knitting. So, but I got to tell you, I have the fortune of my job. I travel a lot, and I can't sleep on planes. So this book is in flight. So when I was on a plane, I was writing and waking up in the middle of the night because I had a thought and a paragraph came from it. So it took a while, but I think God made it perfect for this moment right here, because what made me start writing it was the travesty of 2022. You may know I live in Florida.
Yeah, Tallahassee, where you're from, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That means something in the political world. It used to anyway.
Right.
And in 2022, it was the only state that the Republican Party was celebrating. Everywhere else, it was, the blue wave was taking flight. Right. And so 2022 really woke me up to a moment that I said, you got to put this on paper. So that's called Disaffected now. And I'm happy that it's an Amazon bestseller. I'm happy that it's engaging conversations. And you know what? Again, it's not, it really is for us, right? It really is for us to talk to us. And I hope people will use it that way.
So Sean, OT and I have been talking about the aftermath of today, right? And we are concerned with, are we prepared for a November 6th, since we were so ill prepared for January 6th? So that's been part of our conversations around the election topic. But given the critical nature of this election, what do you think will be the immediate political fallout from today's vote? And how can the country heal from the divisions that have deepened in the recent years?
Wow. Dr. Wyatt, first of all, I love your accent. I know where you're from.
That's why I see my co-host, bruh. Excuse me,
Exactly.
Attorney Pittman.
I know where you're from. I first of all, it will. Let me start with saying what would shock me. What would shock me is if there is an immediate acceptance of the resolution. Either way, right? That would shock me. But I hope I'm shocked and surprised that we do. On the seventh day, because I think the sixth day gonna be wild.
Right.
On the seventh day, I think the adults are gonna have to take a deep breath, and I think we got to get a country what they want. When you get into disaffected, you'll see that there is some great criticism about our system not listening to our voters and our citizens. The system is built for minority rule. And one of the reasons that people get disaffected is because they know that. They know that you're not listening to them. They know that you give them the opposite of what they ask for. Well, listen, these people are asking for, it's not the fringes. It's the most of us in the middle are saying we want to get back to a country where we have civil discourse. We want to get back to a country that we can be proud of, much like what I think Kamala Harris and her closing message was. We want to get back to that beacon on the hill that people see that there's real opportunity, right? And we're far from that right now in vision, right? We're off focus. And so I think we all need to go into today realizing that day is going to come where we're going to have to dig deep inside, and we may have to be the bigger person in the room, the bigger person in the car next to the car, the bigger person in the grocery line, the bigger person in the park, and just figure out how we get beyond this moment. Because this moment is going to define us no matter who wins.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And what I've been saying with this election is this election isn't really about the two people running. It's about us. It's about the people and what type of country they want to be and the type of country they want to see and deliver to their children and their grandchildren. There is a reckoning either way. And I want us to have something to say about where we want to live and grow our families.
And to that point, like we talk about being disaffected, but what about the people who are so affected by racism and by separation and by white supremacy that they've bought into this idealism of this guy and what he stands for in terms of division and in terms of marginalization and just outright hatred? Like, I think that speaks more to the tone of where we are. So how do we course correct here? Like, how do we bring those folk in? So let's say the baby is a girl today, because it's a gender reveal, Oliver. And let's say the baby is a girl today, right? How do we then bring all of those folk in who have ostracized themselves away from the rest of the country on this ship of racism and divisiveness? Like, how do we unify them? What can she do in her presidency or her cabinet that says, I am a president for all of America? Like, how do we move forward?
Yeah, she's going to have to be on a listening tour, right? Her first 6 months going to have to be on a listening tour. And she's going to have to listen to those people who are loudly having things to say that are dividing the country. Sometimes, and I'm not calling people babies, I'm just using an analogy, that a lot of times when babies cry and they have tantrums, it's because you're on your phone.
Yeah.
Right.
They want your attention.
They want your attention, and she's got to give them that attention, even though it's going to slow her down. She's going to have to do it. Let's just talk about black men. I was on the phone with the Dream last night.
Can you hold that thought on the brothers?
Absolutely.
We're going to break. We're going to sell some advertising, right?
Okay.
That's when we can have great guests.
And I need
like
to see how I can get your book. You got to tell me.
Yeah, and hey, where can we go to get that book? When we come back, man, look, You don't want to miss this conversation. If you're listening, call some folk and tell them to tune in. Disaffected, right? What you going to vote for? Access or apathy? Attorney Sean Pittman and a whole lot more on WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long. Whose station?
Our station.
Oh, you know it's our station.
The polls are open, y'all. Go vote.
We'll be back after the break.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Expect to see another round of scattered showers as we go throughout the day. Could be some heavy downpours at times. Highs will make it into the mid-80s, so another mild one, and also a little bit on the muggy side as well. It'll be another breezy day, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then once we get to the rest of the week, looking at the mid-80s, but still watching Tropical Storm Rafael. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
This is the story of the one who, as a maintenance specialist for a historic high-rise, knows that vintage charm historically needs constant attention. Which is why when it's time to upgrade turn-of-the-century mechanicals, they turn to Grainger. With easy access to 1 million-plus products and the scale to deliver when and where you need them. The right tools and supplies are never far away. So the one can keep that vintage building running like new. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Hi, it's Dr. Shepard with Honeydew Products, here with your Medical Minute. In today's Medical Minute, we will discuss a problematic persistent bioaccumulant, decamethylcyclopentasiloxane, or D5-siloxane. D5 is often used in the first or second ingredient in off-the-shelf daily hair care products used to perform typical hair routines. It makes hair easier to brush and prevents breakage. It's also used in deodorants, antiperspirants, and skincare products, and was used in dry cleaning fluid. D5 leads to adverse effects on the respiratory tract, liver, and nervous system of laboratory animals, and has also been connected to uterine tumors and may increase problems in the female reproductive system, as well as increase female reproductive diseases. Banned in Europe, the European Chemical Agency has called it a very persistent bioaccumulant. Applying heat to these chemicals with curling irons and straighteners releases them further into the air, increasing chemical emissions from 50% to 310%. They are then transported through homes' ventilation systems and in the atmosphere, circulating them through your home, the environment, and our neighborhoods, especially during morning hair care routines. For the health of you, your household, and your communities, choose hair products without D5-siloxane. If you are interested in knowing more about natural and real ingredient hair care products, give me a call, 504-858-4696.
This has been your Medical Minute with Honeydew Products on WBOK.
This is a test of the emergency alert system. This is only a test.
Good morning, wake up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Back to the Good Morning Show. Dr. Shanta Wyatt, OT, the early bird, Nyron on the box, and everybody out there listening. Hey, it's election day, but it's the day before the day.
Yeah.
Because tomorrow gonna reveal. It'll be gender reveal.
The gender reveal.
In America.
In America, she's
reveal.
having a baby.
In America, but back to our conversation. Well. Is it going to be the Damien?
Sean likes that. He likes that.
Is it going to be Damien?
I really do.
The
I really do like that.
But back
I really like y'all exit too, man. I gotta get one of them lines in there.
Yeah, you gotta listen, dude.
Hey man, look, whenever you're in town, just come co-host with us,
yes.
right? It'll be co-host.
We'll have a good time.
Co-host, right?
I'd love to do that.
So back to this book is so timely, right? And maybe you did, right? You know, you may be Negrodamus, right? But you didn't anticipate when you started writing this book. That's Nostradamus. That's a black Nostradamus, Sean.
I got it.
You didn't anticipate this being in this time, in this moment we're in right now, did you?
No, not when I started it in 2022. No, but
okay.
As this year started, it became pretty obvious that we were about to do what we always do, and that is not give the people what they want. We were about to over 70% of the people said they didn't want to see a Trump-Biden rematch, and the parties went and gave it to them anyway. And I don't quote Nikki Haley often, but she was the first one to say that the first party to decide to give the people what they want will win and will benefit greatly over time from it. So today and tomorrow will be a test of whether she's right about that.
Right.
I think she is.
Wow.
So if you could give one piece of advice to voters heading to the polls today, because it's election day, it is November 5th in this country and everywhere else, right? Especially who might feel disconnected or affected by the system, what would it be? What is that advice you would give to people going into the voting booth today?
That they need to go with this in mind, that voting is our modern day bus boycott, which means that we have to make sacrifices in order to overcome this moment, this time, and our place in time. Listen, because what they're going to be confronted with may make them decide to be disaffected. We got to overcome that. We got to rise above that circumstance. If it's a long line, stay in line. And here's the thing. I don't say that lightly. The reason I bubbled in access, Councilman, is because we don't have equal access to the ballot box.
Right.
We just don't. There are less polling places in poor communities than there are in affluent communities. The lines are long for a reason, and it's by design. And so those kind of things are going to deter. They do deter people, especially people who work 16-hour days, right? And you can do early voting, but every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday look like the next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday when you work 16 hours, right? And you got children, and you got an inflexible job where you don't really have an hour for lunch. You got 10 minutes to get somewhere, 40 minutes to eat, and another 10 minutes to get back, right? So those things, those factors, unfortunately, the masses, we don't put those in play because we don't have time to think about them because we're living it. But there's a faction out there that considers all those things, and then they write laws to impact that.
So in deciphering some of what you read, you say a couple things, and I believe this, and I've said this, that a no vote is in a sense a vote. The other thing is you talk about the few. I wrote a piece, a white paper years ago that I'm trying to find called Democracy by Subtraction, which means that the few who control, they don't really care about subtracting much of us from the system, right? And then Malcolm had as much disdain for extreme white liberals as he did for what they called the racist Democrats in the South back then. Explain what you mean in terms of that, even if you don't vote, you vote, or in a sense that the few really doesn't care that the majority is lacking participation.
Yeah. So there are people who make a living off of understanding elections, understanding outcomes, and what people will do. So those people sit there all the time trying to figure out how they can keep it all small enough that they can continue to make a living off of it. One of the biggest losers probably this round might be pollsters, right? Because I think this may expose their weaknesses more than any other election in our time, right? But the average voter doesn't realize there's somebody there, people sitting around a table thinking about them all the time and trying to figure out how to keep the wrong people in their view from the polls, right? I talk about the book, about my constitutional law class, and I talk about a student who, by the way, I wanted to fight him then, But I understand him now, and I appreciate him now. I don't know him now, but I appreciate the moment because he actually said in class, when we were talking about the Voting Rights Act, he was saying, well, why do we need everybody voting? We only need people voting who are educated on the issue and sophisticated enough to know how it impacts our country. And listen, there wasn't about 2 black people in that room, but we were mad as heck, right? I mean, but I appreciate his mental because it was the beginning of me starting to realize that there are people who really think that way, and they study that. They sit there and they study the lives of the masses, and they try to figure out how to control what you're going to do. We have to fight that.
Well, J.D. Vance said that if you don't have babies, then you don't even have a voice. You shouldn't be a part of the conversation if you're a babyless cat lady. You're not I'm not, like, babyless cat ladies are not voting. Like there's a demographic of people who don't have children, but that doesn't mean that their vote is any less valuable than somebody that has multiple children. I think it's insane to continue to create ways to divide us. But here is my question. After the election is over and the dust settles, what is your hope for how voters and elected officials will move forward in addressing systemic issues you outlined in Disaffected?
And what do you see?
Yeah, I hope that, first of all, our communities begin to elect people who know them and care about them, because they've got real issues. Infrastructure issues in our community. Mm-hmm. Go to our communities, go to poor communities, go to affluent communities. There is a reason why you can cross the street safely in an affluent community and you can't in a poor community. It's because the people that have been elected and represent those areas probably have never lived in those areas, don't understand them that way. But we have to understand, and the poor people, all of us have to understand that affluent people not going to the polls just because they have more time to go. Now, they do have more time to go, but it ain't just because of that. They're going because they know it impacts their communities.
But they also can physically see the return on their investments.
Yes,
they're not driving down streets where you might lose a tire. You know, they're not going to communities that are food deserts. There are no hospitals in their communities. They're not being over-policed in their communities. Right? They can see the return on their investment when they vote.
You can go. We got to go to break. Our producers, look, you can go to 8:20 with us, can you?
What time is it now?
It's 8 o'clock.
Okay, let's go a little longer. I'll hold on.
Okay, hold on. When we come back, man, Attorney Sean Pittman, his book, Disaffected, right? I love the cover of the book. Access versus Apathy. Mm-hmm. He checked access. I want you to get into explain that a little bit more, especially when you get into the mind of a person who doesn't vote versus those who do, because they understand access. That and a whole lot more with Attorney Sean Pittman in his book Disaffected on WBOK 1230.
What New Orleans is always talking about.
You know what they talking about. Whose station?
Our station.
It's our station, baby. We'll be back after the break.
WBOK 1230 AM New Orleans. Home of the Good Morning Show, 7 to 9 a.m. weekdays.
This news report is brought to you by New Schools for New Orleans.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Missouri is seeking a court order to prevent the Justice Department from sending lawyers to monitor voting in St. Louis on Election Day. The state's Attorney General and Secretary of State claim the DOJ is attempting to displace state election authorities by ensuring compliance with federal voting rights laws. Nebraska voters face 2 proposed constitutional amendments, one to protect abortion access and one to ban it. If both pass, the one with the most votes will prevail. Since Roe v. Wade fell, pro-abortion rights positions have passed in every election. The tiny town of Dixville Notch, New Hampshire, continued this tradition of casting the first in-person votes in the presidential election. Just after midnight, those votes, all 6 of them, were tallied. Former President Trump received 3 nods, as did Vice President Kamala Harris. And weather on Election Day is expected to be mostly favorable for voters. Most of the rainfall will impact the central U.S. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 at BINnews.com.
New Schools for New Orleans, along with All-State Sugar Bowl and Entergy New Orleans, would like to send a huge congratulations to our class of 2024 New Orleans Excellence in Teaching Award honorees. This year, we had 90 Teachers of the Year from each public school in New Orleans. Each of them was recognized at our annual gala, where we had over 350 attendees. We're excited to also share that each honoree is receiving a $1,000 classroom grant. Thank you for everything you do, teachers.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
We are back, man. Disaffected. Oh, my goodness. You don't want to be... Well, yeah, depending on what you do, you can be disaffected. So, back with attorney Sean Pittman in his book, Disaffected, we'd ask a couple. So, why did you pick this title? And what do you mean, the choice? I mean, I'm loving the book cover, man.
Yes.
The choice, access, and apathy. Take a deeper dive into that with this attorney Pittman.
Yeah. So I named it Disaffected because the crux of where we are right now is people not trusting, believing in these systems, in people anymore. If you ask the average person, even if they go to vote, a lot of them don't believe what they see or hear. They don't believe that it's going to change their lives. They don't believe that their votes count. They don't trust that government has their best interests in mind. And it could be all of that or just some of that. But any level of that makes them disaffected. So I wanted the title to be profound enough, provocative enough that it got your attention. And there's no better word for it because now as I watch the news, that word is used overly, not because of the book, but because that's where we are. And it's unfortunate, but we've got to meet it where it is, and we got to try to get people to understand. We got to diagnose, right? We got to diagnose so that we can then start to move towards the cure. And listen, the cure is to talk to them directly about their reasons for not voting and not take them all the way to the spiritual level in the beginning. We can always work in the blood, sweat, and tears. We can always work in, have you walked across the Pettus Bridge? You know what lives were lost and people were beaten and ridiculed and all that stuff. We can get to that. But at the end of the day, we got to really figure it out. And we talked earlier about a President Kamala Harris is going to have to go on a listening tour. I was on the phone with the Dream. Y'all know the Dream. Actually, last night on the phone with him, and it was interesting to hear his take on why Black men are so disaffected. Right. And he said, you know, they gotta listen to us and stop coming at us like
Bingo.
We did that, like we owed them something and like we hadn't paid before. And when he said that, I was like, wow, like we haven't paid before.
Well, Attorney Pittman, I said to a group not too long ago, and I said, so we're absent from the home. We're absent from the community. We're absent from the economy, but you want me to be present in the voting booth?
And guess what? What we have to do for Black men is we gotta let them know we understand where their place is.
Okay.
Listen, they helped build this country. They led that. They built this country, right? And now they're the ones that's got to build it back in the direction of democracy, in the direction of civility. And they're important to that. But we're not telling them that, right? All we hear, and I shouldn't say all. I hate to speak in absolutes, but what we hear more than other things is what they're not doing. And guess what? We know those issues, and Councilman, you see them every day. We know those issues. Those are bigger issues to solve. But there's one collective that we can be there for, and that is how do we move our futures forward? How do we have positive impacts on our culture, which is what we've done in the past. So we can't abandon that. We gotta walk into that.
But speaking to the title of your book too, we also as a country, we have to stop coming for Black folk when it's time for the country to be saved, and then ignore Black folk on the daily, everyday struggles that they experience. Because particularly in this city, in this city, in New Orleans, we're always looking to the Black vote as a rescue, as a savior. But then once you get our vote, you leave us out there to dry, out there to starve, out there to not have a place to live and food to eat and decent communities and roads and streets. But it's just so crazy to me how you expect all of this from us to save and rescue, but then once you've been rescued, once you have your seat, once you've gotten our vote, it's almost like you leave us, right? You abandon us, you walk out on us, and then the next 4 years come in and you're back to do the same song and dance with us and asking for another rescue, another savior, and we just tired because we've not seen anything to amount to all of this critical nature that you always want. It's so critical. It's so critical. It's critical for us every day. When we can't feed our families, when we're being pushed out of our communities, when our schools are in disarray, when we can't get living wages. It's critical for us every day, not just when you're trying to be the president of the United States or when you're asking to be the mayor of my city. It's critical for us every day. And you show us every day that we are not seen and heard and valued. So that's, I think, where the apathy part comes in.
And how did you feel about that early attempt? Because I was turned off by it. That's why when I started talking to groups saying, hey, hold on a second.
It ain't Black folk.
Absent from the community, absent from the home, absent from the schools, absent from the economy. But now it's imperative that I show up in the voting booth. I thought it was the wrong approach to take, especially... And if a certain candidate doesn't win, it's because the Black folk didn't vote. Well, hold on a second. How did you feel about that?
Yeah, let me tell you, it's not just Black people. Let me tell you, there are 80 million people that could be registered to vote in this country that are not. And that ain't 80 million Black people, right? So there's always more of them than there are of us. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. There's some things that we're not saying that's very poignant and a reality here, right? Is there are other people that know more about what we should be doing than we do. But let me say that we've got to talk to these brothers and concede certain things, right? We have to concede that government ain't the answer for everything, right? Government can make things better, but government ain't the answer for everything. So what's our responsibility? You know how when you played sports, your coach would say, "Don't leave it up to the referee."
Right.
Because if you have to leave
you
it
let
up
them
to
decide
the referee,
it. Yeah.
That's a great point.
You're going to lose.
I'm gonna use that.
We can't leave it up to the referee, y'all.
That's right.
We got to figure. There's a part in this for us, and it ain't gonna happen overnight, right? And by the way, I love Barack Obama and I appreciate him and his service. But for him, 50, 60 million people wouldn't have health care. And a lot of those people look like me and you. Right. So I give him that. But brothers got to stop. But he's not the right voice to try to get brothers there in a strong kind of way. He can hit on it, but he ain't the right voice because those same brothers feel like their lives didn't change with him being president.
Right.
It did, but not in the ways that they expected.
Not in the way they expected.
Exactly. So we got to concede certain things. That government not the answer for everything. It can't solve everything. But we can't leave it up to the referee. And brothers have always taken the lead. Always. When we look around this country, we know we did that, right?
Yeah.
So we got to take our place so that and not need them to define that for us, Dr. Wyatt. And you're so right. You're so on it, and God, by the way, we ain't gonna capture them all. Some of them are gonna be there, but we gotta have less of them there.
So why do you think white women float under the radar, especially when they're magnifying what Black men aren't doing, or how they are showing up. It's so critical how black men show up, and the onus is always on the black men. How is it that white women fly under the radar?
Well, because they picking presidents. They pick one. And
Go ahead, Dr. Pittman.
They picked one in 2016. Right. They picked it, and if he comes back, they will have picked it again. And that's whether they vote for him or not. They might not vote at all, right? They might skip it. That's what I'm hearing. And so even if they skip it, it's under their control. So that's why nobody's talking about them, because you can look at 2016 and say that Hillary didn't win because they didn't support her.
Yeah, well, absolutely. But again, that speaks to the juxtaposition of it. Nobody harped on them though, right? Nobody harped on them. Nobody put them up with this whole conversation.
Nobody blamed them.
Right. Around black men is disingenuous, in my opinion. And I think it's nothing more than a smokescreen to further be divisive in terms of black unity, or how black men see black women, especially in terms of leadership. I think it's a fallacy, and I'm so glad that a lot of black men push back on that narrative.
And it's partly what got them in that space, right? You know, they're tired of people telling them how they should feel, what they should do. They want to look. They feel the way we do, and if it's handled right, they're gonna go do what we do. But if they feel like we just talking at them and not talking to them, if they feel like we're not talking to them with the spirit of where they have been and what they mean to this country, we're seeing what happens, right? And it will happen to more if we don't catch this and we don't try to change. And that's why I'm saying that President Harris is going to have to deal with that. And I think she can, because I think the brothers want to hear from her. I think brothers are going to be the reason she gets there if she gets there, certainly black women as well. But this country, we still a small percentage of the electorate in this country. So we can't do it alone.
Yeah.
Right? But we need our pieces in place. And I think they're gonna come together, y'all. I ain't got no magic wand or no little bubble that show me the future. But I think her campaign has almost been perfect, especially for somebody who only came in 3.5 months ago to run for president of the United States.
But I think that's what punched him in the throat, though. I don't think he was prepared. I don't think he thought it was even possible, his camp, for her to put that together in such a short period of time. And I think that's what rattled their cage in a way that they were not prepared for it to be rattled, if that makes sense. They just didn't see her coming. They were preparing for Biden the entire time, and that's why they almost lost their minds when the Democratic Party took a different approach to this election.
And we got a caller. Folk are listening. I tell people, stop texting, man. Start calling, right? We got one of the great attorneys, young writers on the authors. Line number 2, Miss Jones. You're on with the author of Disaffected.
Dr.
You're on with Sean Pittman.
Being and information. All I can say is this, and OT and Dr. White have been saying, overall, Trump is dangerous. He's bad for everybody in this country, white or black. And there's going to be a need to really look at it that way, because Trump is not Democrat or Republican. And once this is over, and once Kamala Harris and Walter in that office, don't go back to business as usual, Republicans, because you got yourself in a mess. You had a rotten egg among you. He's not even a Republican, a bad Republican. He's not even that. You're going to have to come together, really come together, because as I'm always saying, back in the day when they said Russia said that they could take over, you're going to destroy within.
Thank you, Ms. Jones.
And evidently they don't know. And as for our people, our black males, they have even more to lose. And we need to form clubs and be more interested day after day. Every day, thousands of people are making 18 years old. Continue to drive, register, vote, form civics clubs. In addition to so I didn't know, and grow up with it and learn that we have to be a little bit more responsible coming together for ourselves, with family, close friends, to be able to make it economically. You're not poor, you're not stupid, you're not crazy.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Jones, as always. Attorney Pittman, you keep mentioning the few. I'll never forget, I went to lunch with a very powerful Republican national figure several years ago. And, of course, my question was asking them how did they work with the very powerful Democratic majority figure. And he said they got along perfectly fine, that they were actually good friends. And much of the theater was political theater that went public, but they did all right together. So talk about the game that's being played with. In many cases, the few is in on it, but the rest of us, we're just pieces on a chessboard.
Yeah, and Councilman, you hit on something that is sort of that inside baseball, right?
Yeah.
They all know that it's when they say it's a political science, it really is. There's a science to staying in control, and in order to stay in control, you got to have it where you can control. And so when you got 200 million people involved in a process, that's uncontrollable, and it's very expensive to be able to gauge that. And the other thing is this, and it's fundamental that if the system is working for you, you don't really want it to change. So when the insiders are sitting there, they're sitting there with a system that has worked for them. So, they get along. They get along because they're sitting at the same table. And as the popular saying, we're the rest of us on the menu.
Right.
So you have to figure out, we have to figure that out and let that be incentive for us to charge us up to know that when we're showing up, that's the piece of why we're showing up, because there are people who don't want us to. And that didn't used to be important, right? But listen, the millennials are the new baby boomers. We don't have the baby boomers are not the largest population anymore. The millennials are.
That's
and
right.
for them, you have to, and hell, y'all might be millennials, but you have to.
No, I can assure you that I'm sitting next to a millennial.
But with millennials, you have to connect the dots for them.
Yeah,
they insist on knowing how their part fits into the bigger picture.
That's right.
And there's nothing wrong with that. But it's hard to deal with them if you don't know that. Take that from an employer who has hired many of them.
Great point.
And you have to, no matter where they sit in your office, whether they're receptionist or attorney or the media graphic person, if they're a millennial, and I'm sure it passes down to the other generations because it's taught, it's a muscle memory, you have to connect them dots for them. They got to know, that receptionist got to know how his job connects with that case we won, right? And that's the same way with voting. They need to go to the polls realizing and we got to manage their expectations.
Well,
we can't.
You
can't lie to them. You can't. You got to tell them.
You got to tell them.
Take some time.
And
it's gonna take some time.
And thank you. Look, you may have regular appearances on unusual suspects, but you're an unusual suspect when you talk about dealing with the roots and the root causes of why people don't vote. I think it's the first time someone's taken a dive into really how do we begin to talk people who don't vote into their responsibility, right?
Yes.
Not just by using history, but talking to them like they're real people, not just shutting them out and being angry that they don't, but encouraging them to participate. Attorney Sean Pittman, thank you. How can we, Dr. White and I, get autographed copies of the of
That's my
Disaffected?
only question.
Let us know, and we will forward our payment to wherever we need to, because we want to support you too.
No payment necessary. I got to get up there and see Senator Plessy soon, and my good friend Kenya Brooks, and so many other, James Carter, that are up there.
Good.
So over there in the boot. So I'll get there soon enough, and I'd love to stop by and see y'all.
Man, please do that, man. Quite profound, and know that you're making a difference, and you're also making us think. I love when God gives us those thought provokers, man, and you're that. I think you're one of those people at this moment in history. You're always welcomed here. We would love to do a follow-up with you after this election, especially when we start to breaking down who voted. Attorney
and Councilman.
Yes,
Councilman and Dr. White.
Yes.
When we do a book event there now, don't act like you don't know me.
No, you don't act brand new. You better not act brand new.
Don't act like you're on that bestseller list all of a sudden.
We're in Miami this week. We're in Orlando the week after. We coming to New Orleans. I don't have a date yet, but when we come, y'all don't act like you don't know me.
Well, remember us when you were on Good Morning America, that you was on this little black radio station in New Orleans.
Yes.
Attorney Sean
That's
Pittman.
all right.
God bless you,
Listen,
man. We appreciate
they're my priority. Thank you so much.
All right, good brother. Man, what a awesome interview, man. Making us think.
Yeah. Disaffected. Yeah. For all of those people infected.
But I liked what I liked what he said. Stop getting upset with people when they give you a reason why they don't participate.
Yeah, because it comes from a real place. It might not be a place that you recognize, but it's a real place for them. Yeah.
Hey, that's what we do here. Two co-hostess with the mostest. Yeah, put your butter on your toasters.
Negro Damas.
Negro Damas, man. WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
All day long. Whose station?
Our station.
It's our station.
Hey, New Orleans, Tavis Smiley here, inviting you to join me each weekday evening at 7 p.m. right here on WBOK 1230 a.m. for the Tavis Smiley Show. You can expect great guests and getting the answers you need to know. It's the Tavis Smiley Show on our new home in New Orleans, WBOK 1230 a.m.
Tavis Smiley. Ranked number 45 on the Heavy 100 list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America.
Good morning and happy Tuesday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at what's making headlines. Today, America will choose its next president. Here in Louisiana, the polls are open from 6 a.m. to 8 p.m. And if you need to check your polling location, visit govote.com. That's GEAUXVOTE.com. Secretary of State Nancy Landry says Louisiana ranks in the top 10 for election integrity, meaning you can trust your vote will count as intended. And a reminder to anyone who needs a ride to the polls, they can hop on a bus, ferry, or streetcar today free of charge. The RTA is offering free rides on Election Day, so there are no hurdles to making your voice heard. And don't worry, you will not need an RTA pass or proof of voter registration to get on. Then fallout continues after the firing of Saints head coach Dennis Allen. You'll remember Allen was promoted from defensive coordinator to head coach in February of 2022 after Sean Payton left. Allen was then fired following a painful 7th straight loss to the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. Special teams coordinator Darren Rizzi will now try to turn the franchise around, taking the reins as interim head coach. The Black and Gold play their rivals, the Atlanta Falcons, inside the Superdome this Sunday. And that's a check of today's headlines. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News. Have a great day, and don't forget to vote.
It's that time again. Election time. It's a time for us to go out and exercise our right of self-determination and declare what kind of lives we want to have in our city, in our state, and our country. The right to vote is one of the greatest rights we have as Americans. And so many people have died to protect and preserve that right, not only in the sands of Iwo Jima, on the beaches of Normandy, but also in the red clay of Georgia and the mud of Mississippi and right here in the bayous of Louisiana. Folks who have given their life so that we can exercise our right to vote. To honor them, let's get out and vote. Early voting is when I'm going to vote. So let's get together, exercise our right of self-determination, and vote for the lives that we want. This is Wendell Pierce. Let's go and vote.
For everything you need to know, go to GoVote.com. That's GEAUX Vote.com.
NOLA Public Schools is excited to be on this 2024-25 school year journey with our families, watching our students dive into learning, growth, and success. As the school year continues, our dedicated educators are focused on keeping every student engaged and motivated. Let's keep embracing new challenges, celebrating achievements, and supporting each other to make the rest of this year even more impactful. Stay connected with your school and NOLA PS through our social media channels for updates and resources. We're here to help our scholars. Attend today, achieve tomorrow.
People's Health has a new Medicare plan designed for people with diabetes, chronic heart failure, or cardiovascular disorders. It features a monthly over-the-counter allowance, lower costs for a number of prescriptions, and lower specialist copays than non-special needs plans from People's Health. To learn more about a chronic special needs plan, call 1-800-342-2147. Plans are insured through United Healthcare Insurance Company or one of its affiliated companies, a Medicare Advantage organization with a Medicare contract. Enrollment in the plan depends on the plan's contract renewal with Medicare.
Greetings, WBOK family. This is Jason Clark, host of United Way and You. Be sure to tune in next Thursday at 12 p.m. when we'll be speaking with Melanie Richardson, co-founder and executive director of Training Grounds, a United Way funded partner. The topic will be the We Play, We Connect Family Resource Hub. Please tune in if you're able. Until then, we only have one life to live, so live united.
Experience the heartbeat of New Orleans at the 2024 Treme Creole Gumbo Festival. Join us on November 9th and 10th as we indulge in an array of gumbo offerings crafted by local chefs, each bringing their unique touch to this classic dish. Live performances featuring the Soul Rebels, Brassaholics, Tanya Boyd Cannon, Charmaine Neville Band, and many, many more. Visit us at www.tremegumbofestival.com for more information.
Tired of the impersonal, one-size-fit-all style of banking? You deserve a bank that delivers exceptional service and personalized attention to your needs. That's the Home Bank Standard. Since 1908, Home Bank has been a trusted financial partner for businesses and families because we go the extra mile to help you reach your goals. See for yourself why Home Bank is good for business, good for life. Stop by any New Orleans area location or find out more at home24bank.com. Home Bank, member FDIC.
Making a difference in the community. WBOK 1230 AM.
Good morning, Wake Up.
The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 AM.
Oh my goodness, to thine own self.
Be true, yeah.
28 minutes past the top of the hour. Man, Sean Pittman did one. You know,
shout out to Sean.
Yeah, so he started a few years ago, right, on this book, but it's so appropriate to
for
now,
this time.
and depending on what happens, right?
Yes.
And then I love what he said. He said, right, so why isn't there focus on the 80 million who don't?
Yeah.
Right? Because the few who control the system, they're not interested in the non-voters or with the 80 million who didn't vote.
Right.
Because they know the systems, the formulas, the messaging to control the people. And as the electorate shrinks, that's only good for the few.
Yeah. But if those 80 million stood up, it would punch them in the throat because they're not prepared.
That is.
They've already figured out a formula.
Money to negatively affect the system.
Yes.
Bam, that's it.
Yes.
That's it. So go vote, y'all.
Go vote. The polls are open. They will be open till 8 p.m.
We care
tonight.
who you vote for, but please go vote.
Yeah.
It's important that you vote.
Yeah. And if you're going to the gender reveal, bring a gift. You're going to bring diapers for the boy and wipes for the girls. So what you going to purchase today?
Yeah.
Some diapers or some wipes?
Oh, man. Yeah. I'm gonna be. It's me. What I like to do is check precincts. So I'll be driving around, and go and check precincts to see what the turnout is. Right?
Yeah.
And then reporting to folk who are going to be phone banking and calling because we may be a red state, but we need to up the participation.
Yeah.
In our city, and in our communities, right? So folk know that you're not the few. You're not to be played with.
Yeah.
And that you really matter because they're going to analyze this election turnout to determine.
This election will have implications moving forward for the foreseeable future. Yes, it definitely will, especially locally.
Yeah.
Because again, on the local level, we have an opportunity with our school board to put folk in seats who believe in public education, who believe in local governance, who believe in neighborhood schools, who believe in qualified certified educators. We have an opportunity to do that. And so if you're living in District 2 or in District 4, please remember the down part of your ballot has a school board race on it, and we need you to activate your voice and vote. It's important. It's imperative. I think it's the most important race on the ballot locally.
So 504-582-9422. After the conversation with Sean Pittman about disaffected, right? How do you feel about your vote? I mean, is it sacred to you? Is it just part of tradition? Do you just vote because because
people asking you to go vote,
asking you to go vote, encouraging, begging you to go vote? What does your vote mean to you? I'll start. I'll start. I watched my mom be part of the Communication Workers of America, right? When she was one of the first African Americans to be mobile and marine operator. I think in mobile and marine she might have been one of the first blacks. One of the first blacks to work with South Central Bell when they opened up the test, and black females went to be operators, right? And I watched her and my aunt. If you know the late Leontine Luke, I actually went to the Lower Ninth Ward, one of the historical art galleries yesterday, and saw pictures of my aunt, right? Started the Lower Ninth Ward Voters League. Her and Dorothy May Taylor and Aretha and all of them were friends. Edna Mae Tickles, Georgetta Warren, June Sanchez. So when people talk about black women, right, I never known when black women didn't lead a movement.
Yeah.
Right? Or even prop the men up and give them the inspiration to say, hey, look, we got you, right? But I was turned off by the political process because in the Lower Ninth Ward, if you know the history of it, we had open canals. We didn't have curb and gutter streets. We had asphalt, still dirt streets. You didn't have access to much. We had a park in our neighborhood before we got other parks that you couldn't really go to. So we would have to catch the bus, or my father would take us across the canal to actually have recreational activities. So even though my aunt and my mom and family members were involved, I was turned off by it, right?
Yeah.
Until I came home from college. One break, and I had made 18. And my mom said, I need to take you to go register to vote. I said, Mama, I don't want to vote. She said, first of all, I didn't ask you if you wanted to vote.
Put your clothes on.
how you know? Yeah. She said, get dressed. We go into the registry. It was downtown. And she gave me a history lesson. And she told me, she says, if you don't want to vote for you, do it because you care about somebody else.
Yeah. Well, that's
what it was.
That's the long and short of it. That's the long and short of it. And when you ask me why I vote, like my intentions are to leave this place better than I found it for my son and the kids are coming up after my son. I have a 3-year-old godson. I vote for him. I have a 19-year-old son. I vote for him. Right. I have a baby nephew. He was just born. I vote for him.
Right.
Because I cannot fathom this world being what it is right now for them. And so that's why you vote. You vote to be able to liberate not just yourself in the moment, but future generations of yourself, future iterations of yourself. We've all, I believe, been here before. And there'll be some version of us here after we're gone. You vote for that. And so I'm never going to ever allow anybody or any sort of rhetoric to take away my constitutional right, my democratic right. And yes, we could talk about all of our ancestors and what they've done to get us here, but there's living Black history right now. Like you have people like Big Duck, you vote for him.
Living history.
And everything that he's done for this community, and he's still breathing, right? You don't have to wait until people die to like honor them and put them in a conversation about the greats, right?
Sign of respect.
Yeah, you vote for that. There's so much history in New Orleans that people kind of forget because nobody's talking about it.
That's a good point.
And what we were talking about yesterday with this idea of this New Orleans Walk of Fame, because I really want somebody to rethink this idea of calling it NOLA, the New Orleans Walk of Fame. I really want somebody to rethink this fleur-de-lis, because that's fleur-de-slave. You know what I'm saying? That's a fleur-de-slave. And so for me, if we don't teach our children our history, when they see people and politicians and people who they believe know honoring black folk with a fleur-de-lis, that strips the history of what the fleur-de-lis once was. But we're not going to help them rewrite history here. That's why we vote. We vote to make certain that people understand that the past connects to the present and the present dictates the future.
I like that, right? Because you put in terms, all those reasons my mom gave me at Riot to go register, right?
Yeah.
But why did I vote? Because I respected who asked me.
Yes.
I had respect for that.
And if you respect people like Big Duck, you're going to get up and go vote. You have to know that.
Let's go to lines. 504-582-9422. Why did you vote? And if you're not voting, why haven't you voted? Line number 2. Larry, man, good brother. Good morning.
Doing, O.T.?
Good morning.
How are you, Doctor?
Hi.
You know, you and I agree on more things than we disagree on. You know that, right?
Well, thank you.
You know that.
I know now.
Go ahead on, Larry.
You know what you just said about why you vote?
Yes.
I take the same approach.
Mm-hmm.
The same approach. You know, even if I don't think that things are going along as they're supposed to be, I get up and I go vote for my 2 children.
Mm-hmm.
It's 28, one is 31. I just had my first grandchild. Well, he's 2 years old.
Right.
All my little nephews, nieces, I vote for them. Because this world, like you said, I want to leave it in a better place.
Yeah.
But I want to tell Oliver something. Oliver gave me some statistics that have been in my head since he gave it to me.
Right.
About the differences between whites and blacks as far as economic development is concerned.
Mm-hmm.
Money they make compared to us.
Correct.
And Oliver, I've been here. They have 5 black mayors.
Yes.
And to make that sort of not statement, but to have that sort of data to say that New Orleans is damn near in the same predicament it was before we had 5 black mayors. As far as economic development is concerned.
Correct.
Now, you've been a city council before and now.
Correct.
And I'm going to say this on the radio. And going to be the next mayor. So I don't know what to say about that. So when you think about black males not participating in the political spectrum, I think that comes into play. But, you know, you got to dig deep within. Case in point, I grew up in a segregated society in New Orleans. They didn't have an integrated school. Jim Crow.
Right.
Went to a black school named after a black historian, and plus, you know, it was. I got all my education. I had all black teachers, so I didn't know nothing but that. And look, every time we elected a president of the class, Doctor, she was a female. Yeah. You guys are the most nurturing people on this earth. Nobody. You know why I say that? My grandmother was like Kamala Harris. My mother, 3 sisters. My dad had 5 sisters, and he was the only male. They shaped and groomed him. Now, he was an alpha male, but them girls did a job on my daddy to make him the man he was. Because to this day, I respect him. And I think I know why it was that way, because he had black females in his spot.
Thank you, Larry.
Thank y'all, man.
Thank you, Larry.
Wow, thank you, man. Wow. Say, man, that's well said. So, yeah, I don't need to add anything to that. I hope people were listening to that.
Yeah.
That was inspirational. It was historical, and it was spiritual. And it really defined us, and ought to continue to define us, especially as black men and black women. Line number 1, Don, you're on with Dr. Wyatt and OT.
Very good morning.
Hey, thank you for holding.
Your site, a beautiful site, Dr. Wyatt, and you look beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're speaking beautifully. and it's a beautiful occasion. And I see your arms are tight. I don't see no turkey flapping. So like you hit the gym.
Don, what about me?
A workout, that's good. Oliver, you know, you got the cap on. You like a old hip hopper. They can't let it go this morning.
All right, Don.
Here's the thing, Oliver. Here's the thing. You got a baseball cap on.
Yes, sir.
But Negroes don't play baseball no more to the level we used to.
Yeah.
Even football and golf, all of them wear baseball caps. But we're not into baseball as we used to when we had our Negro leagues and even in the 70s.
All right, I accept it.
Baseball caps are part of the hip hop. Huh?
No. Keep going. So,
No, but look, listen. Professor Condor, he told a story of a time that the daughter was teaching the granddaughter how to prepare the holiday feast, and she cut the ends off. And the daughter asked, "Why you cut the ends off, Mom?" She said, "Well, I never really knew." So she asked her mother, "Well, why you cut the ends off?" She said, "Well, because I try to get the piece of meat to fit into the pot." She think it was some type of scientific experiment, you know. I did it because I seen my mama do it.
Yes. That's right.
Why you vote? I vote because I see my people vote, and I seen the benefits.
Good point.
You know, I seen that my parents were able to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
Not a Taj Mahal. I seen my people was able to do things and participate in society in a civil way. Not have to get off the sidewalk and sit on the back of the bus. And I seen the bus drivers was black. And I seen people become city leaders and even state and federal leaders, international leaders. I seen them organize groups of people around common causes and common goals. So why do I vote? Because the same way that I got the color of my eyes and the height of my stature and the name that I carry around, though I haven't converted to any other, I haven't converted my name for religious reasons, I still carry my family name that was passed down from generation to generation. Some things I do is because I'm a beneficiary and it's instinctive. But as I was a child, I thought as a child. But as I became a man, I had to understand what is the real reason my parents' behavior and things of that nature. So I'm gonna close on it's a process. Voting is a process. That's why they give you 18 years to prepare for it. And once you get to that age, hopefully you understand the involvement that you've already had when you was 18 and under. You had involvement.
Thank you, Don.
You had a political involvement in school. Who was the homecoming queen?
Right.
Who was on the student body? Right. So, yes, it's a process, and people cannot check out the process because they're not checking out cashing those checks and spending money.
Thank you, Big Don. Have a good election day, man, and hope you're able to recover tomorrow. Line number 2, Kev from Gentilly. Good morning, Kev. God bless you, good brother. You're on with Dr. Wide and OT.
Good morning.
Hey, great to hear from you. A long time no talk to you guys. Look, I call the radio station, and I already know nothing's going to happen from this. But I heard the brother talking earlier about how we treat each other as randoms, and I can't remember all the stuff he was saying, but basically I just jotted a few little things down. Look, if we black people, and I said black people, but really I'm talking about the 1% poor working class. That includes the blacks. So we just happen to be heavily in that number. Mm-hmm. So it affects us more. And from historical perspective, quite frankly, how we got here and how those things continue to affect us being African American. But look, if we don't learn from history, we have these black people, and it's really not really about black and white. It's really about wealth and power. If you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. And we hear these, I'm going to go black people, but really this apply to everybody. But since I'm black, I'm going to talk about it in this way because it affects me more immediately under those circumstances. Until black people, and I'm talking about those who have much, start coming out, don't come out just when there's an opportunity or you are fearful about your status, because that's what all people are. They're fearful of their status, okay? Don't only come out when you want us to vote. Look, if you don't learn from history, You're doomed to repeat it. If we don't, and we live in every day we're affected by our circumstances. If we only worry about when our circumstances are threatened and don't educate our people, you're going to have an uneducated public, easily manipulated, okay? And racism, white supremacy is about wealth and power. And those people have immediate access to influence that with the media. I noticed last night, even the liberal programs on TV comparing the history of Trump and Kamala Harris ended up saying that, well, Trump, at the end of the day, Trump is representing the millions of people.
Thank you, Cal.
Yeah. He believes Kamala Harris is only representing her vision, not defending democracy, not defending even more.
Yeah. We got to go to break. The producer's pointing at us. Cal, wrap it up for me, man. Please.
That's it.
Okay.
We are all these, the media and all the institutions against us.
Thank you, good brother, as always. We got one caller, Reverend Calhoun is holding. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, why do you vote, right? Dr. Wyatt and I explained why. Larry, Don talked about the responsibility. Or if you vote or don't vote, call and give us your reason.
Why. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, give us your why. WBOK 12:30 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about
all day long. And whose station?
Our station.
Yes, it's our station. We'll be yes.
This is your news update for WBOK 1230 AM from WDSU. For all your news and weather, watch WDSU News, New Orleans' leader in live, local, late-breaking news. Today at noon and 4 p.m.
Expect to see another round of scattered showers as we go throughout the day. Could be some heavy downpours at times. Highs will make it into the mid-80s, so another mild one, and also a little bit on the muggy side as well. It'll be another breezy day, winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. And then once we get to the rest of the week, looking at the mid-80s, but still watching Tropical Storm Rafael. From the WDSU First Warning Weather Center, I'm Raven Richard.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide cleans better than the leading competitive free detergent, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues.
Plus, Tide Free and Gentle has no dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on her skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Are you passionate about community safety and police accountability? Tune in to The Monitor's Mic, where we talk about oversight, policing, and you. Hosted by the Office of Independent Police Monitor, we're here to shine a light on policing issues that matter. From real-time policing updates to in-depth interviews. Get the facts and stay informed. We're breaking down complex issues, highlighting community voices, and holding people behind the badge accountable. Join us for an informative hour every Friday at noon on WBOK. Your city, your police, your show. The Monitor's Mic.
Are you ready to make a difference in your community? Join me, Randy Chambliss, and my co-hosts Dion Dana and Barry Mallory on Helping the Village Radio Show, where we raise awareness, advocate for real solutions, and coordinate supportive services to prevent and reduce homelessness. We're connecting the dots to build stronger, thriving communities. Tune in every first and third Saturday at 2 p.m. as we collaborate with local leaders, real estate investors, and nonprofits, working together to provide hope and opportunity for those in need. Helping the Village Radio Show, empowering change one community at a time.
The National World War II Museum, located in the Warehouse District of New Orleans. The National World War II Museum tells the story of America's experience in the war that changed the world, why it was fought, how it was won, and what it means today. Visit them online at www.nationalww2museum.org for time tickets and safety information.
Hello,
Hello, Jaguar Nation. This is Chris Powers, the voice of your Southern University Jaguars. Southern is back at A.W. Mumford Stadium this week, and we want you to be a part of the action. So don't miss a play right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about. Join myself and Hall of Fame coach Pete Richardson for this Saturday's game as the Jaguars host the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Countdown to Jaguar Kickoff pregame show starts early at 1:30 p.m., and kickoff begins at 2, right here on WBOK, 1230 a.m., what New Orleans is talking about.
Hey, everybody, it's Kimber White Dupree.
And it's Graylin Bryant Banks from the front porch. We're coming up next.
Good morning, Wake Up. The Good Morning Show. Good morning. On WBOK 1230 a.m.
We are back. Not too bad, you bad.
Nah.
You're so bad, you good. So there's a difference, right? 504-582-9422. We got a few minutes left. And come out, what does your vote mean to you? Why? What encourages you to vote? And if you don't vote, why? Dr. White and I explained, our callers did. I want to appreciate Larry, too, man. That was really heartfelt. And I hope people really paid attention to what you said. Line number 3, the mayor of the 9th Ward, Reverend Calhoun. You're on with
Good morning
Dr.
to all.
Good morning.
I vote because I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in agreement with what everybody said prior to my call. But what I look at and what I understand is that when they wrote the Constitution, I wasn't even considered a person.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was not included in the voting process.
Right.
And those people that you named earlier, Oliver, those people that fought and went through all that they went through, just so I can vote.
Yeah, and I forgot to mention Mr. Larkin, man. Rest in peace to the Larkin family.
104 years old.
Yeah,
Kirby yesterday. They are planning a memorial service for him.
Well, we're going to close out with you. Rem Calhoun did a piece on everybody who had been voting 50 years or more. That should have been a documentary. I don't know if
60 years.
60 years. I don't know if he still has a copy or a tape, but that was the last public event my mother really attended, where she was able to really participate with all her friends in the Lower Ninth Ward. It was the most powerful pieces, their testimony, what they talked about from Ms. Vera to Mr. Larkin.
So why those kinds of things aren't shown during these sorts of elections?
And Reverend Calhoun put it together. Ro Brown actually moderated. We brought our parents from the community there. And so I just wanted to say that, man, that piece should have been
Those were the
duplicated.
Inspirations for us.
Yeah.
You couldn't get elected citywide without carrying Lower Ninth.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going out here this morning to try to get people to the polls.
Right.
They didn't have to beg us to go vote, Oliver.
No, they didn't.
And like I said, they told me over there by the fire station on Renee Street.
Right.
Gaines Street, I'm sorry.
Yeah, my auntie would be sitting in there. My mother Luke would be sitting in there saying, yeah, you Calhoun people. I know who you are, boy.
That's right. But again, I don't know what it's going to take for us to understand where we are.
Right.
Our educational system is down, and voting is one of the ways we get it back up. Yeah. We didn't have a right to vote. We didn't have anything. But now that we have, that's where we are. We're moving forward and trying to say that if you don't have no vote, you don't have no voice.
Calhoun,
one way or the other, you don't have no say in what's going on. Now, I understand some people are saying, well, you don't have any say anyway. But I think that if we come together and make sure, because the same, and if you look at it, Oliver, the same game is being played now on us.
Mm-hmm.
They're coming into the community to take what they want, do what they want, and they don't figure you have a voice in it. So I'm looking and I'm listening at what's really happening today. I vote because I can vote.
Thank you.
And when people get to the realization that this is what it's about, it's about us coming together to make decisions within our community. I tell a story all the time. When I came to the Lower Nine, they had oyster shells on the street.
Yeah. We got one last caller, Rem.
All right, then.
Yeah,
no, that's right. That's why I vote, because I can vote.
Well, thank you. Happy Election Day.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate y'all. Line number 1, John, you're on with Dr. Wyatt No T. Go ahead, John.
Good morning, folks. I'm going to keep it quick.
Good morning.
As I said, good morning. As I said, black men have set the trend just recently. This is the first time in a long time that I can remember being alive that the Democratic Party actually offered something. Even we knew it was bull caca.
Right.
At the last moment, it could have been done it. But what it shows is that we have to become more pragmatic and strategic with our vote.
Absolutely.
Just like other groups of people. And, they're talking about black men and black people moving over toward the Republican Party. We don't get down with the Republicans like that. But at certain points in time, they may have something that's worthwhile. And we're going to have to begin to leverage our vote and make these people compete for our votes. One more thing I'm going to leave you with, too. We got to get rid of these big Negroes in amongst us also. Because 4 or 5 weeks ago, out there in California, the reparation vote, it was the Black Congressional Caucus that voted it down about reparations in California, their bill. It was people that looked like me and you that voted against it. And so it lets you know that you have enemies on the inside and as well as the enemies that are known. So I'm going to leave you with this here. However this election goes, family, watch your six.
Wow.
Thank you. Happy Election Day.
Ron Dellum's out there over in California. Must be rolling over in his
And those are
grave.
the kind of votes that will make me want to unseat you.
Yeah.
Because whoever voted against it, you ought to be trying to find you some new representation.
Right.
That's the way we have to start holding these people accountable.
There's no doubt
about the things that matter to us. And I don't think people realize how often those folk in the legislature are making decisions that impact your everyday life. So look at their voting record. And to me, if reparations is important to you, then that's the deal breaker for you. Then you need to be working to get them out of there and find you somebody who will vote for the bill.
And what's your explanation why?
Yeah.
Wow. Great election day show. I think and Sean Pittman was the perfect guest. Disaffected, but we know there's no really such thing as unaffected or disaffected. We all affected.
Yes. One way or the other.
One way or the other, we are affected. Well, Dr. Wyatt, as always, you're the co-host with the most. When I talk about you, it ain't because I'm bragging or boast.
Mm-hmm.
All I know is your voice ringing from coast to coast.
Well, thank you, Oliver. It's a pleasure to co-host with you as well.
And I mean that. It ain't just a joke.
Yeah, listen. The people around here could tell you how I cut up when I don't know you're going to be up in the studio. You need to give me a heads up, huh, Nyron?
We gotta
he better act like he knows something.
We got to give you a heads up. That ain't happening. That ain't happening.
Tell me something.
Like my man, that happening no more.
Yeah, don't do me like that. Yeah.
On it. Like, baby, that ain't happening no more. You're going to get your call, email,
text
or text directly from
Carrier
me.
Pigeon or something.
Hey, man, great show. Look, not the side porch or the back porch, right?
The front porch.
The front porch, and then we're going to delve into the reality check.
Yeah.
And all those other things that matter, man. I'm going out there and take a look at some of those historical precincts around the city, see just what people are doing. Doc? WBOK 1230 a.m.
What New Orleans is talking about.
You know they're talking about it. Whose station?
Our station. It's Election Day, y'all. Polls are open until 8 p.m.
Hey, we're going to be here tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Y'all need some therapy one way or another.
Uh-huh.
504-582-9422.
Holla at your people.
Meet us here in the morning. Holla at you.